We need to talk about this. Because this demon is something that I face every day till now. Have you ever felt like you're not good enough? Like no matter what you achieve, there's this voice in your head saying, you don't deserve this. Or maybe you feel like you're just pretending. Like one day, people is gonna find out that you're a fraud. Well, this is called the Imposter Syndrome. And if you ever felt this way, I need you to keep watching because I want to tell you something that might change the way you see yourself. Now, every time when I doubt myself and I felt like I wasn't good enough, it wasn't when I was struggling. It was actually when I was succeeding. I had built a career, led a team of 200 people, earned recognition and respect from the team, made good return on investment, started side businesses. On the outside, I looked like I had everything together. But deep down, I felt like I have just gotten lucky, like I actually didn't deserve any of it. All of it felt very shallow when I compared myself to other more successful people. And it didn't matter what I achieved. The feeling never went away. When I go to a networking event or socializing, I constantly feel that I have nothing much to offer, and I wasn't interesting enough compared to others, and I sometimes feel pretty awkward. And when I started my side business, I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. Who would actually want to buy my product, and how can I compare myself to the big brands out there? And when I started my YouTube channel, the one that you're watching now, I thought, who would want to listen to me? How can I present fluently like some famous speakers? Am I interesting enough for people to watch? Am I going to get millions of views in the future? Even when people told me that I inspire them or my videos are pretty good, I still feel that I was constantly not good enough. And I know that I'm not alone in this, and maybe you feel the same way too. So why do we feel like this? Why even the most successful, talented people struggle with this imposter syndrome? Well, there's actually a psychological explanation to this. According to the studies, imposter syndrome happens when our self-perception doesn't match reality. It's like our brain refuses to accept that we are actually capable, so we are convincing ourselves that we are faking it. One reason for this is the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias where the more we learn, the more we realize how much we actually don't know. So instead of feeling confident, we start doubting ourselves even more. We assume that the real experts never feel uncertain. It's like they know everything and they have full confidence in every single decision. But in reality, even the most intelligent people often doubt themselves the most. Now, another reason is the comparison culture. We live in a world where we are constantly bombarded with other people's success story. Social media makes it look like everyone has their life together, while we are stuck questioning ourselves. And especially now that I'm on this content creators path, I studied other content creators on various platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok every day. And the more I study, gosh, the more depressed I feel. Because I felt that everyone seems to be crushing it on social media, except me. And the more I watch, the more the doubts keep piling up. But of course, what we don't see is their years of struggles, their doubts and their failures that got them to this point. And lastly, imposter syndrome is often rooted in our childhood experiences. Maybe you grow up in an environment where you felt like you had to prove your worth. Maybe you were surrounded by high expectations. Or maybe you were made to feel like your achievement defined your value. And over time, that turns into deep fear of never being enough. So how do we stop feeling like this? How do we overcome imposter syndrome? Now, I won't lie to you and say that it's easy. This feeling doesn't just disappear overnight. Until this day, I still haven't found peace with it, and I don't think we ever will. There are definitely some mindset or ways that could make us feel a bit better. So here's what helped me, and I hope that it might help you too. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I want to take a quick second to thank every one of you who's taking your precious time to watch my video and subscribe to my channel. It means the world to me. And I hope this video has provided you with some value. Please continue to support my channel by liking, comment and subscribing so I can grow this channel and bring you more high quality videos and content. Now back to the video. Now the first thing that we can do is to realize that everyone feels this way. The most successful people in the world, CEOs, actors, athletes, even billionaires, have admitted to feeling like frauds. Even comedians like the late Robin Williams, one of the most funniest actor and comedian, admits to having severe depression and even battling anxiety constantly. And Steve Carell, another successful comedic actor, says that he's socially awkward when he's attending events. So if the people at the top still doubt themselves, it means that imposter syndrome doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means we are human. The truth is, the more successful you become, the more you realize how much you don't know. And that's why imposter syndrome is actually a sign of growth. And the people who never feel like imposters, they are usually the ones who aren't pushing themselves beyond their comfort zone, or they could just be somewhat of a narcissist. Now, the true wisdom is in knowing that you know nothing. If you feel like you don't know enough, it doesn't mean you're an imposter. It means that you're aware, and that awareness is what makes you capable of growth. And the second thing that we can do is to separate facts from feelings. And this is something that I have to remind myself constantly. Is this feeling based on reality, or is my mind playing tricks on me? Just because we feel like we're not good enough, it doesn't mean that it's true. It's just a feeling, it's not facts. Now take Tom Hanks for example, one of the most successful actors of our time. He once admitted that I still feel like a fraud to this day, and I feel that someone is going to find out. But look at the facts. He has won multiple Oscars, starred in some of the greatest movies that's ever made, and is widely respected. His feeling of doubts do not change the reality of his achievements. So how do you separate facts from feelings? Well, you can write down your achievements. So when imposter syndrome kicks in, just look at the evidence. What have you accomplished? What skills you have built? What obstacle you have overcome? The facts will show you that you are more capable than you think. Now you could also think about how you would talk to a friend. If your friend told you that they felt like a fraud, would you agree with them? Or would you remind them of everything that they have done? So start giving yourself the same level of kindness. Now you could also remind yourself that your brain is biased. Psychologists call this negativity bias, our tendency to focus on what's wrong rather than what's right. It's a survival instinct. But in modern life, this bias holds back more than it helps. Just because you feel like you're not good enough doesn't mean that it's true. Look at the evidence. Have you worked hard enough? Have you put in the effort? Have you learned and improved? And if the answer is yes, then success isn't an accident for you. You earned it. So the third thing that we can do is stop chasing perfection. One of the biggest reasons we feel like imposter is because we set impossibly high standard for ourselves. We think that we have to be perfect to be worthy. But perfection doesn't exist. Even the greatest minds in history makes mistakes, doubt themselves, but they kept going anyway. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, once said, "If you wait for everything to be perfect, you will never launch." You see, Amazon started as a small online bookstore in a garage. It's far from perfect, but if you had waited for the perfect moment to start, Amazon wouldn't exist today. So here's a mindset shift that helped me. Instead of chasing perfection, chase progress. Instead of asking, "Is this perfect?" ask, "Is this better than yesterday?" Because growth isn't about being flawless. It's about consistently improving, even if it's just by 1% every day. Now the fourth thing that we can do is talk about it. Because talking about it normalizes the feeling. Because when you hear other successful people feel the same way, you realize that the doubt isn't a sign of failure. It's just part of the journey and it weakens the fear. See, imposter syndrome feeds on secrecy, but when you bring it into the open, it loses its power and it helps others too. The moment you share your struggles, you might help someone else's feel less alone. And in doing so, you created a cycle of encouragement. Because the worst thing you can do with imposter syndrome is to keep it to yourself. The moment you open up, you realize that so many people feel the same way. And when you see that, it loses its power over you. And the fifth and the last thing that we can do is to keep showing up even when you don't feel ready. Now here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll be waiting forever. Now take Michael Jordan for example. He didn't make it to his high school basketball team. If he had believed he wasn't good enough, he would have never become the greatest basketball player of all time. And J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became the biggest book series in the world. And if she had let imposter syndrome stop her, Harry Potter wouldn't exist. So ignore what people say or think about you. Ignore all the noises and just keep doing what you do or what you have set out to do. When you have set out to do something new, your mind will keep telling you that, what if I fail? What if people look down on me? But in reality is no one actually cares. And like I said, everybody is just busy living their own lives. And for those who actually cares, funny enough, they are the ones that actually support and encourage you instead. Now back to when I decided to leave my job of 18 years to pursue content creation full-time, many people were saying that I was crazy to give up such an amazing career. I was doubting myself at first too, but I told myself, you know what, I'm just gonna ignore all the noises and just focus and commit to what I've set out to do. Because at the end of the day, it's my life and I should live it the way I want and live with no regrets. So even if you feel like a fraud, even if you feel you are doubting yourself, just keep showing up and keep taking action, because every step forward is a proof that you are capable. Now, if you're still watching until this point, I want you to know this from the bottom of my heart. You are not a fraud. You are not here by accident. You didn't just got lucky. You are exactly where you are because you work for it, because you are capable, and because you deserve to be here. And the fact that you wouldn't feel like you're not good enough, that's a proof that you care. That's proof that you're growing. So don't let that voice in your head stop you. Keep going and keep pushing forward, because you are good enough. And deep down, you already know it. So if this video resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. I love to hear a story. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send it to them, because you never know who might need this reminder today. And if you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because this journey, we are in it together. See you guys in the next one.